This is the key to the worksheet on rational expressions, topic 11. And basically on this worksheet, all you want to do is just to simplify each rational expression. So let's look at number one. Now, to simplify a rational expression, one of the first things you want to do is to factor. Always factor. So if you look at the numerator, you're going to factor the numerator and then you're going to factor the denominator. So having some good skills in factoring is going to help you with this topic and many of the future topics. So in number one, you will notice that the numerator is the difference of two squares. And so I'm going to go ahead and factor this as q minus 5 times q plus 5 divided by, and then the denominator, you have this trinomial, this polynomial. In fact, they're both polynomials, by the way. But this is a trinomial, and again, one of the first things you want to do is look for a greatest common factor. The greatest common factor of those three terms is 1, so we're going to go directly to just factoring it as two binomials. So what's going to work will be q, q, this is an easy kind, and then the last sign is positive, so both of these are negative, and they're both going to be 5s. And again, always check. Q times Q is Q squared. A negative 5 times a negative 5 is a positive 25. The outer is negative 5Q. The inner is negative 5Q. And we add them up, you get negative 10Q. All right, once you factor, the next step is to reduce. So remember, your steps are going to be factor and then reduce. Okay, so I've factored, now I'm going to reduce. Now when you reduce, you're looking for common factors. So if you look at that first factor in the numerator, that factor is q minus 5. You will notice there are two factors of q minus 5s in the denominator. So you can reduce one of them because there's only one in the numerator. So if I reduce those, one factor of each, you're left with a factor of 1. Make sure you understand what I mean by a factor of 1. It's kind of like when you had, let's say, 4 divided by 4. So when you had 4 divided by 4, remember 4 goes into 4 one time, 4 goes into 4 one time, and you're left with factors of 1. That's that same idea. Q minus 5 goes into Q minus 5 one time, Q minus 5 goes into Q minus 5 one time. That idea is this idea right there. If you look at your next factor, that's a Q plus 5. There are no Q plus 5s as a factor in the denominator. So you are done. So now what you're going to do is you factored, you reduce, and now you're going to basically simplify your answer. So in other words, don't leave it like this. You want to say 1 times q plus 5 is q plus 5. 1 times q minus 5 is q minus 5. And that's it. So these are your factors. Do not, and some students do this without thinking, or maybe they're not sure what to do. Some students see the q's and they want to do this. You cannot do that, okay, because these q's are not factors. The q plus 5 is a factor. Q is a term of a factor. All right, so remember, you can only reduce factors, okay, not terms. These are terms. 5s are terms, okay, so be careful. All right, number two. Number two, we have x cubed minus 18x squared plus 81x divided by x cubed minus 9x squared. Now, there's quite a bit of stuff that you have to do in this one. So what I would do is I would rewrite the numerator. So let's go ahead and rewrite the numerator and kind of work with it in terms of factoring. And that's supposed to be an 81x right here. Kind of work with that in terms of factoring. So in this one, it looks like I can factor out an x, right? So the GCF is x. So let's do that here. So that's going to equal x. And so I get x squared minus 18x plus 81. And remember, just like you did before, you need to check and see if you can factor this trinomial further. And you can. So I get x times, and then let's see, that's going to be x minus 9, x minus 9. That's what that looks like. All right, so x squared minus 18x plus 81 is x minus 9 times x minus 9. Now that's going to go in the numerator. So you're going to say x times x minus 9 times x minus 9. Okay, now let's talk about the denominator. So that was the numerator. So go off to the side and do the work for the the denominator. So we have x cubed minus 9x squared. So notice that from this polynomial here, I can factor in an x squared. So I get x squared times x minus 9, right? Because x squared times x is x cubed. X squared times a negative 9 is a negative 9x squared. And so that's going to go here. X squared times x minus 9. Okay, now let's talk about what we have here. So I factored. So I factored the numerator and I factored the denominator. And so now we want to reduce. So remember the next step is to reduce. So I'm going to reduce. Now notice that the factors in the numerators are x, x minus 9, x minus 9. It is important that you know your factors. The factors in the denominator are x, there are two factors of x, and then there's an x minus 9 as a factor. So let's talk about that first factor that you see in the numerator, the x. Notice that this x will reduce with one of these factors of x. Okay, so it's kind of like if you had something like this, I want to show you. So if you had something like 4 divided by 16. All right, so remember 4 divided by 16 is the same thing as saying 4 divided by 4 times 4, right? And so one of these 4s will divide into one of these 4s. And so you're left with 1 divided by 4. Remember that? Same thing here. So it's kind of like if you have the same idea. So x times x. So one of these x's will divide with one of these, and you're left with just 1x. So you get 1x, 1 divided by x. The next factor is x minus 9. In fact, you have two of them. Either one of those will reduce with this one down here. So when you reduce, though, don't just cross them out. Some students have a habit of crossing these out without indicating what factor is in its place. That causes students issues at some point. It is important that you understand that when you divide, when you cross out common factors like this, you never just cross these out. You put ones in their place because that's what it was indicated. 4 divided by 4 is 1. 4 divided by 4 is 1. Same thing here. Put ones in their place. All right, so reduce, and then the next step is to simplify. 1 times x minus 9 is x minus 9. X times 1 is x. So there's your answer. So that's number 2. Okay, let's look at number 3. Number 3, we have x squared minus 5x plus 4 divided by x squared plus x minus 20. So again, you want to factor the numerator, factor the denominator. So if you go off to the side and you kind of do the work for factoring, x squared minus 5x plus 4, and notice the GCF is 1 here, so I'm going to go directly to the two binomials. And what's going to work will be x minus 4, x minus 1. So this trinomial factors into this. All right, and so I'm going to put that in the numerator. So I get x minus 4 times x minus 1. So notice I'm doing all the work here, and I'm putting each individual step here. So I'm factoring here, doing the work here, but I'm putting the factors here. Let's talk about the denominator. So in the denominator, we have x squared plus x minus 20. The GCF is 1, so I'm going to go directly to the two binomials and factor that. And it looks like for that one, it's going to be x plus 5 times x minus 4. All right, so that's how you factor this one. So that's going to go in the denominator, x plus 5, x minus 4. And so now I factored, this the next step is to reduce. So notice my first factor is an x minus 4. I see 1 down there, so I can reduce those. Don't just cross them out. Put factors of 1s in their place. The next factor is x minus 1. There is no factor of x minus 1 in the denominator. So now, if you look at this, there's nothing else to reduce. So now the answer is going to be 1 times x minus 1 is x minus 1. So write it without the parentheses. Don't put parentheses around here. We prefer to leave the parentheses off because it looks better. And then over here, it's not needed also, by the way. The parentheses are not needed here. And then x plus 5 times 1 is x plus 5. And that's your answer. So that's number 3. Okay, let's look at number 4. Number 4, we have... number 4, we have 3x plus 21 divided by x squared minus x minus 56. Okay, so the numerator, that's easy to deal with. So I'm not going to go off to the side and do any work because I can look at this and see how to factor that. I can factor out a 3. It's a linear expression. It's a linear polynomial. So I'm gonna factor out a 3. I get 3 times x plus 7. All right. The denominator, if you need to go off to the side and do that, then go off to the side. Factor it. The GCF is 1, so go to 2 binomials. So let's see. It looks like it's going to be 8 plus 7. I'm sorry, x plus 7, x minus 8. Okay. So that's how you factor that one. So my denominator, I'm going to have x plus 7, x minus 8. And now once you factor the numerator and once you factor the denominator, now you reduce. So notice my first factor is a 3. There is no factor 3 in the denominator because it's important. Remember, it's important you know your factors. My factors are 3, x plus 7, x plus 7, x minus 8. Okay, so 3 does not go into any of those factors. Now let's look at the next factor, x plus 7. I see an x plus 7 in the denominator, so that I can reduce those, put ones in their place, and that's it. That's all you can do. So the answer is going to be 3 times 1 is 3. 1 times x minus 8 is x minus 8 without the parentheses. The parentheses are not needed. So if it's not needed, leave it off. Number 5, we have y squared minus y minus 2 divided by y squared plus 5y minus 14. And so if you need to go off to the side and factor the numerator, let's go ahead and do that. The GCF here is 1, so I'm going to go directly to the 2 binomials. And it looks like it's going to be y minus 2, y plus 1, right? Yep. So that's going to be the numerator, y minus 2, y plus 1. The denominator, let's see, y squared plus 5y minus 14. Let's see what that's going to be. That's going to be y. The last sign's negative. The signs in here are different. And it looks like it's going to be 7 and 2, positive 7, negative 2. Yep. Okay, so I'm going to have y plus 7, y minus 2. All right, so what's our factor? Next step is to reduce. So you look at your factors. Y minus 2, y plus 1, y plus 7, y minus 2. And it looks like the only ones I can reduce are the y minus 2's. Make sure you put ones in their place because you need to say 1 times y plus 7 is y plus 7. Y plus 1, excuse me. You need to say y plus 7 times 1 is y plus 7. So you get y plus 1 divided by y plus 7. And so number 6, let's see number 6. Number 6, we have x squared plus 4xy minus 21y squared divided by, and then that's 2x squared minus 7xy plus 3y squared. And so if I go off to the side and factor the numerator, let's say I get x squared plus 4xy minus 21y squared. Now notice there are two variables here, so remember you got to be careful with that. Some of you forget about that other variable. So it looks like what's going to work. Let's see, 21, and I want the middle term to be 4. X squared has a coefficient of 1. That's the easy kind. It looks like it will be 7 and 3, and I need the 7 to be positive. So we're going to get x plus 7y, x minus 3y, and that's going to work. So that's your numerator. So x plus 7y times x minus 3y. The denominator, let's see, I get 2x squared minus 7xy plus 3y squared. And so if I factor that, the GCF is 1. So if I factor that now, I get 2x, x. Let's see, I need a 3y squared. The last sign's positive, so that's an easy kind. They're both going to be negative, the middle sign. And I need a 7, so that means that this has to be 3y and this has to be y. And let's see if it works. The outer is negative 6xy, the inner is negative xy. I get negative 7xy. Okay, so that's going to be 2x minus y times x minus 3y. So I factor the numerator and I factor the denominator. Now the next step is to reduce common factors. My first factor is x plus 7y. There is no x plus 7y as a factor in the denominator. The next factor in the numerator is x minus 3y. There's one right here, so I can reduce those. Make sure you put ones in their place. And that's all you can reduce. And so now your answer will be x plus 7y times 1 is x plus 7y. The denominator 2x minus y times 1 is 2x minus y. And so that's your answer. So that is the key to topic 11 worksheet. Let's see, topic 11 worksheet, and it's the one that says extra 1. All right, so hopefully you did well on this one. That's the end of this worksheet.